To bring everything but the hog out. Think we eat nothing but grass, what you talking about? I'm about to jump into the whip and hit the Whole Foods early. Get everything to get that soul food working, like mac and cheese, the collard greens, the black eyed peas, and get a roast of that tofu turkey. Got cornbread, even got stuffing. Mashed potatoes so good, put your hand in it. String beans, and you know we got yams with it.
You don't have to worry about anything like that popping off. If there is anyone on our side that pops off, that won't be tolerated. Okay, so we need to remain calm and respectful and polite, you know. Not always obedient, but polite and respectful. We're here for the animals, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'll get into the save movement. But firstly, because after this, I think we're going to do some outreach. Is that right? That's correct. Is it glass walls we're doing? It's like, anyway, it's sort of the Anonymous for the Voices type, where you got the computer screens with the slaughterhouse footage. I thought I'd give you a little few outreach tips that I've learned, because I've done a bit of it. And I love it. I think it's one of the most effective types of activism I do, because it's conversations. Conversations are powerful. You can have a conversation with someone, they'll never forget it. Alright? You might be the first person they've heard this information from. So the first thing I do is I build rapport with the person I'm speaking to. Building rapport is quite simple. And you know, Tony Robbins has got great information on building rapport. But you might copy some of their reacts to seeing slaughterhouse footage in the same way. Some people are just like, they have this logic thing going on in their head, like, you know, they're logic robots. Some people have a really powerful emotional response, and I invite people that are having this powerful emotional response in front of you to keep it in the emotion, you know, keep it in their heart. You've obviously like affected them and their empathy, so that's where you keep the conversation. You keep bringing that side of them out in them, okay? And with the logic robots, if you try to bring it to their heart and they're not feeling it, or they don't have compassion, some people just don't, then you have a logical discussion with them, okay? Statistics, how it's hypocritical, you know, how it's inconsistent, it contradicts their, if they've got a dog, it contradicts that, you know, so you can argue veganism on pure logic alone, because not being vegan is an illogical position, because there's too many contradictions, there's too many inconsistencies, and you can have that conversation with people. Also, another thing you need to do is always have info on you. I have these cards, okay? Now, depending on what group you're with, you might have your own cards, but I have these cards. I ran out of these cards, and I don't do that. But on the front I've got, and don't overwhelm people with information either, just ethics, environment, and health. I've got more for ethics, because I feel that that's the foundation of veganism. Without ethics, it's just a plant-based health diet or something. So ethics, I've got 4, you know, environment, Cowspiracy, and the Cowspiracy page. They've got all the links, the sources there. And health is What the Health and the What the Health page. They've got all the links and the science to back it up. On the back, I use Challenge 22. The reason I use Challenge 22 is I'm quite aware that Challenge 22 veganism is not a challenge. I know that it's a stance of, it's justice, a stance of justice to animals. But Challenge 22, if they do it for 22 days, it takes 21 days to rebuild a new habit. So, you know, by that time they might be like, oh, it's actually pretty easy. I've got all the vegan stuff. There's mentors that help them, that coach them. So they're well on their way. They understood they can do it. They understood that the food's pretty good. They've probably educated themselves in that time. And when you stop eating animal products, something happens. You start empathizing with animals more. It's weird. I don't know what happens there, like whether it's taking control of their brain or something, but not much science to back that up. But for some reason, people go health vegan and all of a sudden they're connecting with animals. I've seen that a lot. Always have info and resources on you. The power of showing slaughterhouse footage, I don't think there's much else more powerful than that. Because people have this idea in their brain about like humane slaughter or what it looks like in a slaughterhouse. They haven't seen it. If you've never seen what happens to an animal in a slaughterhouse, the fear, the blood, the struggle, the only way you can show that to people is by the slaughterhouse footage. You just get, it's an instant response. Instant response. Okay. There might be a truck that comes during this talk, so let's keep it on. Also, when you're doing outreach, it's important, and when you're doing activism, it's important to remain calm, polite, I've found, and respectful. You don't have to respect what's happening in the slaughterhouse, the actions but you should show them, the person, respect. You have to respect their actions, but then it's important to show them respect, because you communicate better if it's on with the guidelines of respect. People are more likely to open up to you. That, you know, you understand it's nothing personal against you, mate. It's just what, you know, they've been indoctrinated into as a society. So show them respect. Because people can read it too. If you just like you might not say it in your words, but they can read your body language, and it can affect, you know, it can affect that conversation going somewhere really brilliant. And so the way I like to do my outreach is I ask people questions. It's a way of teaching where you ask people questions. It's, you know, first made famous by a Greek philosopher called Socratic. It's just asking people questions basically, and it should come naturally to you. Do you think there's a humane way to kill someone who doesn't want to die? You can't get protein from plants. You know, like, so just asking people questions. When they respond, you respond back with another question, and you lead them to the vegan conclusion. And I've found that works brilliantly. It's a non-intrusive way of educating people. It's not like you're pounding information down people's throat, because that can be overwhelming. I know I've been a victim of it myself. Someone just knows heaps about something's got me in the corner, and I'm just like, I'm just waiting for them to stop talking. I've just zoned out. But when you ask someone a question, they engage then. They engage, they have this logical mechanism in their brain, they respond, and then you respond back with a question. And if someone says something hurtful, they might know that you've just been walking through a farm and seen cruelty and been scouring through slaughterhouse footage, and you know, they might not know that, or they don't know that. And they might say something insensitive, which is going to happen, you know, 50%, 60% of the time. You know, people say something insensitive. But you've got to feel that emotion and you respond, okay? You don't react to that instant emotion. You don't have a knee-jerk reaction and just say whatever comes to your mind. You have to let that emotion pass, and then you respond, you don't react. So that's my tip: respond, don't react. There's something called, like, when you feel anger, it's not always a negative emotion. It can get you off your butt to go and do activism. Like, I'm so angry about what's happening here. You get up, it gives you that fire, right? But a psychologist told me that aggression is anger in action. Okay, so you feel that anger, and if you act on that anger, that's aggression. That's what we don't want. I think there probably is a place for that type of thing, but for the most part, for the majority of what we want to get done, I don't think aggression is helpful. Okay, blow situations like this up. You know, something got aggressive here. There's a bunch of police here. It looks bad on all the other activists, and you can mess it up for everyone. You can mess it up for everyone, and what this movement is about, which is about peace, justice, and that's what I'll get into the SAVE movement. So the two most powerful forms of activism are street outreach. Okay, obviously I make videos as well. Making videos gets the message out to a lot of more people. That's just a platform to spread this message. Okay, so you need the platform, we need our social media. Without social media, this movement wouldn't be a movement. Okay, it would just be like sections of people maybe sending letters to each other and leafleting. We've got social media now. That's why the movement is growing exponentially. But the importance of bearing witness. People might say, oh, what are you doing standing out in front of the slaughterhouse? It's not doing nothing. It's not doing nothing. It does heaps. It does heaps. And the main thing is it reinforces the conviction as an activist inside of your heart. So you find that when you've witnessed animals going into a slaughterhouse and you've seen their eyes, you've seen their fear, you might see cows crying. The thing with cows crying, I've talked to people in sanctuaries, that it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen as, like, I've seen cows about to get slaughtered, crying. Cows on the slaughterhouse truck, terrified, crying, tears in their eyes. And speaking to people in sanctuaries, it doesn't happen commonly. So you see that, okay, and then it builds conviction in you. You're like, wow, I know what they're going through. I'm going through it with them. Okay, we're here together. We're supporting each other as a unit. So it builds solidarity. Okay, and we're all. It's like it brings everyone together and it makes it real. It makes it real. And then you go out and speak for animals when you do your outreach. Okay, you've seen what's happening here. It's a reality. You might see it on the Facebook, on your social media. It's not the same. It's not the same as looking into their eyes close up and saying, I'm sorry for what's happening to you. We're here with you, and we're here for each other. And also, it's important to feel the emotions that you're supposed to feel and show them. You know, we're all in this together. Like, it's okay to cry, it's okay to have a hug. We should be here supporting each other. I mean, I cried when I left the dairy farm. I couldn't save a bobby calf, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. Right there, this Bobby calf, newborn Bobby calf, still had the juices all over him, and I couldn't save him, and I regretted it. Okay, but it's important to feel these. What I'm saying is, it's an emotional thing. What's happening is very serious, and it's, you know, the magnitude of what's happening is a monstrosity. So it's important to feel those emotions and, you know, support each other, which is a major part of this. And another powerful part of the Save movement, if we didn't have our phones, it'll just be a bunch of people standing out in front of the slaughterhouse. But because we've all got our phones, we've all got 500 to 1,000 friends, let's just say, some more. Okay, so we essentially brought 50, 60, 70, 100,000 people to the slaughterhouse when we all share our pictures. Okay, we share our pictures, we share our videos to our non-vegan friends and family. How are you going to get 100,000 people out to a slaughterhouse? You can't, but you can these days with social media. So that's the power of the Save movement. And if you've got one of these in every single country across the world, okay, all bringing their phones out, this is how we create change. Okay, this is why the Save movement is so effective. People don't look into that, they just see us standing up front with a sign and say, oh, it's not effective, they're not going to change nothing. No, the Save movement is growing and it's changing. There's nothing more powerful than a non-vegan seeing the eyes of their food before their food is slaughtered. Okay, nothing more powerful than that. Oh, well, they connect with the animal then, and they can't unsee what they've seen in their newsfeed.
Some water. I'm so sorry, sweetie. I'm so sorry you're suffering. There are not many vegans, not many vegan activists who have the courage to come to a conference. So I just wanted to take a moment and say that I see all of your bravery and I really admire and respect you. Thank you for being such an inspiration as well as your fellow activists. So, sustainable activism. I think we hear a lot about it, and I guess everybody's got a different definition of what that means. To me, it's not just about activism in the long term. You know, sustainability is not just about activism in the long term. I mean, as much as we'd like to have a vegan world tomorrow. That's pretty unlikely, and we want to be here advocating for animals right up until the day when the last cage is empty, right? So it's about longevity, but it's also about having a self-sustaining system. So what that means is having the skills to be able to cope with activism. Because one of the things about activism, it generates so many conflicting emotions. And I'm sure for many of you here, we're just this tumultuous jumble of sadness and grief, but also rage and maybe a bit of guilt for those of us who weren't born vegan. There's so many conflicting emotions, and it's not about avoiding those emotions. These emotions aren't bad, but it's about developing a toolkit to be able to cope with them in a healthy way, in a way that you know, I speak to a lot of activists who tend to have struggling with trauma, PTSD, depression, anxiety, responsive. Well, if activism is supporting culture, then stop doing it. And I think that that's really unhelpful advice. Maybe some of you have experienced that from mental health professionals, or maybe even from your own family and friends. So it's not about avoiding activism. We could never stop anyway, could we? And in fact, it would make us feel worse to stop, because then we'd see everyone else doing activism and we'd just feel guilty about what we're doing. So it's about developing.
Binge on life, purge negativity and starve guilty feelings. Speak to you all soon and love you.